This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association, your daily recap of the information that affects Iowa's farmers, producers, and consumers, right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning broadcast team of Dustin Hoffman, Riley Smith, and Mark Magnuson. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Riley Smith.
Well, good day and welcome into Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Riley Smith. Today is Friday, February 10th, 2023. We're so glad you could join us today. In today's episode of Ag Matters PM, we have the 200th episode already. Hard to believe that we're already to this point. And kind of in the theme of having the 200th episode, today I talk for the 100th year celebration of Farmall, those tractors and that line. I talk with Joe Miller. He's the tractor product manager for Case IH North America. We had a great discussion on just the history of Farmall, kind of the culture that it's become ingrained into with agriculture in America, and some opportunities they have for a giveaway later this year, so stay tuned for that. But first, let's go ahead and take a look at those markets.
It's time now for the Ag Matters PM Closing Market Summary, your source for market analysis and settlement prices from the day's trade in Chicago, courtesy of the folks at agmarket.net.
Well, we're at the end of another trading day in the ag marketplace, and for a bit of analysis, we go to Jacob Burks of agmarket.net. Jacob, I will note that today is the 200th episode of AMPM, so let's have a big grand analysis for this. But let's start off. What do we have going on in the grain markets today?
Well, I am honored to be here on that 200th episode. I appreciate it. Now we're a great day in the grains. A lot of news, a lot of questionable news as far as what's going on. Some major political events, some news of China potentially buying 3 to 4 cargoes out of the Gulf. So that type of export of soybeans, for a fact. So, the time of year where we're talked about how we should be losing some exports from the soybean market, we're gaining some, and we're getting some of those surprise sales. It's been a fun day today, trying to keep up, scratching your head a little bit. But inevitably, we saw the corn market come up a dime. You saw the bean market come up about 20 to 25 cents there across the board. You saw old crop and new crop rallying. Still, the bull spreads are still pushing everything and every commodity. And you saw the wheat market take off with the news of a potential missile coming from Russia over Romania and Moldova. And so a lot of uncertainty, a lot of fear in the world. And in that case, we saw commodities just take a big move up.
Right, and something interesting was that, we had the WASDE report on Wednesday, and it was almost a non-factor in the markets. I mean, obviously the changes that we were expecting didn't happen in that report, but, without that, are we looking at a fairly stable, obviously we still have those world concerns, but a fairly stable month until the next report?
I would. The WASDE was, it's a February WASDE report. It's one that you forget about a lot. And so we traded it for a little bit. We forgot about it already. If we go back to the January report in the corn market, we talked a lot about, they changed everything on the demand side of the balance sheet except for ethanol. And that was one of the biggest questions we had. So we ended up seeing that move come 25 million bushels off that. So that was about it. Decreasing the crushings. I guess to me, that was kind of a surprise, I guess, if you want to say, but it was 15 million bushels, not a whole lot. Inevitably, you still saw a very, very tight balance sheet. It's still there. It's when you carry a tight balance sheet, it's going to allow for these type of moves. One news report's making us go 25 cents. We're also in a $15 market. We're also in a $7-8 corn market, or $7 corn market. So there's just, when you're tight, any type of news event, any type of story can really put fireworks underneath these markets pretty quick.
Right, and some of that news that we're always keeping an eye on at this time of year is, the conditions down in Brazil and Argentina. At this point, have we mostly heard probably about as much as we're going to hear as far as what's going to change the marketplace? We know pretty well what the crop's going to look like.
I would say no. We're still, a lot of scuttlebutt about weather forecasts in Argentina. And the main thing about it is not so much how much they're going to produce and what's they're going to do for production of what's in the ground. It's just how long is it going to take us to get the second crop in? How quick are we going to be able to get the existing crop off? So I don't think it's over yet. I think today, if you look at China coming up here to buy our soybeans, it's mainly because they can't get the soybeans out of South America fast enough, maybe. there's kind of a flight for that safety of being able to get your hands on some product right now. So no, I don't think it's over. I think that we haven't really changed a whole lot on what the Brazilian corn number is going to be, because it's still got to go into the ground. You hope earlier the better if you're production, because they want to get it in before the dry season, get through pollination before the hot dry season. So no, the story's not told. The story's not told in this marketplace. That's why we preach a lot about flexibility, because we're in the middle. We're at a point to where if we do have a great growing season, we'll be a lot lower than we are right now. But at this point right now, there's still fireworks that can be lit.
All right. And then what are we looking at the other side of the marketplace in the livestock complex?
I think they punted today. I don't even know if they traded. Let me look here. Yeah, they traded a little bit. You saw a pretty flat market across the hog market. There was not a lot going on. Your live cattle still chasing that cash up, trying to pull it up. And honestly, I didn't even get the latest numbers in the box beef, but it was a very quiet trading range on the futures market here. So 161 is where we're trading that front month. I haven't heard any cash get that high yet. So we need to see that cash market continue to come up. We all know the story of how tight we are. The one thing I would say is a very good trade today, a very good positive for any of them cow-calf guys out there, is the fact that we saw a corn market that is pushing back up to some of these higher levels that we've seen in a while. And we only had the feeder cattle down 45 in the front month and basically unchanged, a nickel, 20 cents lower out and across the whole complex. So I give that a 200-day clap for the feeder cattle.
Well, and of course, when the consumer wants steak, he's still going to go out and buy steak. But we're at a point where, or are we going to reach a level where, when that meat or the beef gets to a high enough price, they're going to look at the much cheaper pork chops and decide, well, maybe I'll go for that instead? Yeah,
that's a good point. And we got pretty aggressive here across our company with talking to our producers about getting some hedges put in your live cattle, not because we don't think that it can go higher. We know that the fundamentals on the supply side say it can go higher, but two things. One is the fact that, buildings, an economy that we've seen and what they might have to continue to do to decrease inflation is continue to take money out of the pocket of the consumer. And if that's the case and that's what they do, then we're going to have a hard time continuing to sell beef whenever you have the other byproduct, the other supplementary product of chickens and hogs, that we're not in that tight supply like we were the last time we saw big moves out of the live cattle. So that is a big fear. It's a very good point.
Well, great analysis today, Jacob. Perfectly fitting for this 200th episode of AMPM. For those of our listeners and our viewers who would like to get in touch with the folks at agmarket.net and talk marketing strategies, how can they do that?
Well, first, just check us out at agmarket.net. Go to our website, sign up for our 30-day free trial of our intel. That's where we send out a whole bunch of information to you. You can look us up there on the About Us page. Check out our team. If there's anybody that you want to talk to, you can hook up there.
All right, Jacob, thanks again for taking the time to visit with us. And we look forward to talking with you and the rest of the agmarket.net team for the next 200 episodes.
All right, look forward to it. Thanks for having me, guys.
That again was Jacob Burks of agmarket.net. We'll go ahead and take a look at how those numbers closed. That's courtesy of the folks at Bar Chart. At the close, March corn is up 9 3/4 at 680 1/2. December new crop up 5 1/2 at 596 even. March soybeans up 23 1/4 at 1542 1/2. November new crop up 13 1/2 at 1378 3/4. March soybean meal up 390 at 499.40. Soybean oil up 150 at 60.54. Chicago wheat up 28 3/4 at 786 even. Minneapolis spring wheat up 13 even at 930 1/4. Kansas City hard red wheat up 30 even at 909 even. March oats down 4 1/4 at 376 3/4. On the Merc, February live cattle up 37 at 161.20. March feeders down 42 at 186.40. February lean hogs up a nickel at 75.87. Pork cutout down 65 at 80.75. February Class 3 milk down 2 cents at 17.54. And that's been a check of the markets here on Ag Matters PM. We're going to go ahead and take a quick break to hear from our sponsor, the Iowa Soybean Association and the Soy Checkoff. When we come back, we celebrate 100 years of Farmall. This is Ag Matters PM.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
Welcome back to Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Riley Smith. Well, like I said earlier, we have some discussion on the history of Farmall and how they're celebrating their 100-year anniversary. And honestly, I won't preview it too much because we had a great discussion today. So here's my conversation with Joe Miller. He's the Tractor Product Manager for Case IH North America. We are here today with Joe Miller. He's the Tractor Product Marketing Lead for Case IH North America. Joe, great to talk with you today. Obviously, there's a great celebration going on this year. It's 100 years of the Farmall tractor line. Just give us a little bit first off on how Farmall was started, what that mission was, and its impact on agriculture, 100 years ago.
Great, Riley. Thanks for having me. I look forward to talking about Farmall 100. Farmall, the brand itself, as a part of the International Harvester Company, and then Case IH is very special to who we are and as Case IH, and it really ties a lot together with our farmers and the farmers through multiple generations over the past 100 years. When you go back in time, 1923, the task in front of the engineering team at the International Harvester Company was really to develop and design that tractor that would replace the horse on the farm and replace it with mechanical horsepower. And that's what the Farmall did. It was able to do a variety of applications and a variety of operations that tractors prior to that couldn't. They maybe a standard tread or certainly in our history, steam locomotives, things like that, that they weren't necessarily designed to be able to cultivate, pull all the implements, handle some of the livestock style chores, or manure spreaders, things like that were very common in 100 years ago in a more diversified livestock and grain operations. So, when Farmall came out, they really did develop a tool that could farm in all applications on that farm. That common tricycle front end, the rear, the large traction wheels on the rear, and the tricycle front end, things that 100 years from now we take for granted as being a very common and very normal looking tractor, was actually quite revolutionary for its time. And the impact of that machine through the tractor development for the next 100 years continues to be felt.
Right, and even just in those immediate years following the introduction of the Farmall, if you look at the Farmall line itself, there's a lot of progress you can see just from those early models to towards the end of production when they were finished there. And obviously, it was just a great thing to see, and what a huge leap to go from horse-drawn to finally having machine power and to be able to get more things done and just more efficiently.
Absolutely. Our oldest Farmall tractor that we still have in our Case IH possession is a very, very early unit, and it was sold to a customer in Iowa. And the history of that unit was that the engineers would go visit that tractor very regularly, and they would be putting different parts on it. They would be modifying implements such as the belly drawn or the front mounted cultivators, and they would be trying different tools and different things to help do more on those farms. So to that point, the amount of development that was taking place from the 20s into the early 30s was rapid. And you can see that in some of those, what I'll call the unstyled Farmalls, the regulars and the F series. When you get into the H's and M's, the Raymond Loewy industrial design kind of a look, you can start to see where maybe the look and feel of the tractors slowed down a little bit in terms of some of the development that you referenced, but they became much more streamlined. They became much more, in my opinion, visually appealing and meant to, the tractor was now, especially that style, much more commonplace on the American farm.
Right, and as we mentioned, it was Farmall, International Harvester early on. When does Case come into the picture and become, the line become more on the track to what it is today?
So there's a couple different breaks if you want to go. The Farmall, first units built in 23, and then going to the mid 70s, the International Harvester Company was still putting Farmall designation versus international designation on the tractors. During that time, originally on, an international tractor was more the standard tread or a Wheatland or something like that. The Farmall was meant to be more for row crop. By the mid 70s, that line was pretty blurry. There really wasn't a lot of differentiation. It was becoming less and less. So the International Harvester Company pretty much just used up the rest of their Farmall decals and badging, and then switched everything to international later into the 70s. And that's kind of where Farmall phased out. In 1985, when the Tenneco Company acquired the International Harvester Company, the tractor and agricultural business of International Harvester Company, and formed Case IH, at that point in time, Farmall was an important part of our history, but there wasn't an active Farmall name on any of the products that we were building at that time. It wasn't until 2003 where Case IH was aggressively pursuing getting back into and highlighting a strong focus in the under 100 horsepower in the compact tractor business, that the Farmall name was resurrected and really meant to highlight just a new series of tractors that we had that could be used in a broad range of applications, from farming, municipalities, state homeowners, rural lifestylers, and so on.
Right, and now when we look at Farmall International Harvester, honestly, it's become a lot more ingrained into the ag culture in general. A lot of people even collect them and keep them around as almost as heirlooms. I inherited a over 70-year-old Model H from my grandfather. So, not only has it been a storied part of ag history, but today it's even part of the culture as well.
It absolutely is. You can see the IH logo, and you can see older like Farmall tractors in popular culture references, TV shows, things like that, and you can see them around, and people know that red tractor, that older style was an important part of our culture. To your point on heritage and people inheriting tractors, you go back 100 years ago, a lot larger percent of our population was directly involved in agriculture and very much closer to the farm background that this country has. You fast forward to today, there are a lot of people that have, maybe they're not directly involved in agriculture, but their parents were or are, or an aunt and uncle or grandparents. So these tractors really pull them back to that time where they maybe went to those farms as a kid and they got to experience farm life and production farm life. And that's a beautiful thing about this equipment, especially to your point, your 70-year-old age. When you look at tractors like that, it brings you back to a very wonderful foundation that a lot of people have, even if they're not directly tied and involved with production agriculture today. So it's a really cool opportunity as Farmall turns 100 to have that celebration and get some of that feedback from customers and from maybe not customers, maybe it's just farm people or people that have been off the farm for several generations that come back and say, I remember that tractor at Grandma and Grandpa's farm back in the day.
Right, and then just to have that pride to show it off. I mean, we see, especially here in Iowa, you get those town celebrations over the summer. You see tractors parading through town as part of that. You get to the state fair, you see FFA kids who have restored their tractors for that. And then even I can see in your background, and I'm a collector myself, having these model scales of tractors as well. And it just ties back into that culture and showing off that we're proud of our heritage, and Farmall is part of that heritage.
I couldn't agree more, Riley. I do. I do have a little bit of a collection issue with tractors, but again, that comes from growing up on a farm in Indiana. And the first tractor I drove was a 53 Super M. We still have it as my grandpa's. And it's that tie to the iron that it's not just so much the equipment, that's a big part of it, but it also ties back to just, I guess days, years or decades ago where I was farming with my uncle and my grandfather and my father, and we were all working together as a family. And you relied on that equipment. We have a 54 Super M that fed our cows, twice a day. That tractor ran the feed wagon. If the tractor didn't run, the cows didn't eat was kind of the joke, but it did run, and we relied on it heavily. And now, that some of those tractors have retired to parade life and other things. People love to see it because they feel the connection. And I know firsthand that the people that are driving those tractors in the parade, they love to do that because it's an important part of who they were and how they, provided for their family. Sometimes, the farm economy could be tough. It wasn't easy. And those tractors that the farm families depended on to make sure they had a sustainable livelihood, that became like part of the family. That became part of their identity. And that's why it's important that we celebrate these times and really highlight how important that is to our culture and our background.
Right, and part of that celebration this year, you guys are doing a Farmall Giveaway that's already started at NCBA convention and will kind of continue later on into the year. Go ahead and tell us a little bit about that and then how people can enter for maybe a chance to win that.
Sure. Yeah, we took the opportunity this year to celebrate Farmall 100, and we want to collect stories, we want to tell stories, and we want to highlight a lot of the heritage and nostalgia that we have today and that we share. The other thing we decided to do was just to really bring forward and what can we do to show how proud we are and how much we want to get that Farmall name out. We're going to give one away. We're giving away a 75C tractor. We started at the NCBA show, like you indicated, and there's a sign up. You go to farmall100.com and you can sign up for the tractor there. And we will be signing people up as we're kicking off more of these spring winter farm shows. We'll be doing it all through the summer and early fall farm shows, and we'll culminate with the giveaway, the tractor actually being given away at the National FFA Convention in October.
All right, and will anybody who enters, will they be able to see on social media when that gets announced and just for updates along the way?
Yeah, for sure. We're going to be communicating right along. And again, that one, we set up that special anniversary website, Farmall, the number 100.com. We're doing that to make sure that people can engage and stay engaged. We will definitely publicize and talk through, like, the giveaway and really use that as a talking point as part of the Farmall 100 celebration. So there'll be lots of communication on how that giveaway will work.
All right, Joe, great talking with you today, and thanks for taking the time to visit with us and just share the story of Farmall and do a little bit of celebration on that. And good luck to you guys as you continue to celebrate Farmall into the future and maybe for even another 100 years.
Thanks, Riley. That's actually a great point, and one of them that at Case IH we're very proud of. We're celebrating 100 years of a innovative, and famous brand within and part of our heritage. But we're looking so much forward to that next 100 years. Farmall is an integral part of the Case IH tractor business, the Case IH family, and we certainly look to continue to expand on that. And you're going to see a lot more opportunities with growth within Case IH and with Farmall coming forward as we continue down our Farmall 100-year celebration this year.
All right, thanks again, Joe, and take care.
Thank you, Riley. Appreciate the time.
That again was Joe Miller, Tractor Product Manager for Case IH North America. Great to celebrate 100 years of the Farmall tractor. And again, if you're interested in maybe signing up for that tractor giveaway, go to their website, check out their links, and see what it's all about, and just have fun enjoying their celebration this year. As for right now, let's go ahead and take a look at that ag weather outlook. Well, today we have sunny skies. Those temperatures are a little bit cooler, but starting to warm up as this weekend we have temperatures approaching 50 degrees, and then into next week we will hover around that 50-degree range. So honestly, perfect weather for any of you who are going to be watching the Super Bowl, whether you're inside or outside watching. But even for that game down in Arizona, looking to be an exciting game. Won't make any more comments on it. Don't want to jinx it either way for the Chiefs, myself, or for Mark's Eagles. So let's go ahead and take a look at what the National Weather Service has in store for the next 24 hours. As you can see from the National Weather Service, we have a beautiful weekend ahead of us. Today is sunny but still cold, with highs ranging from the upper 20s to upper 30s. Tonight will be clear once again, with lows overnight ranging from the upper teens to low 20s. Tomorrow will be sunny and warmer, and then over the weekend, it might just be nice enough to do some Super Bowl grilling. Those highs ranging from the low to upper 40s. And taking a look at the affiliate weather map, Cherokee will be sunny with a high at 41, Shenandoah sunny and a high at 48, Des Moines sunny and windy with a high of 47, Waterloo sunny and windy as well, high of 44, Albia sunny and 40, and Clinton will also see sunny skies with a high around 41. For more detailed forecasts in your part of the state, make sure to check in with your local Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network affiliate. And that's been a check of the Ag Weather Outlook, and that also brings us to the end of this episode of Ag Matters PM. You can find all of our content on our website at iowaagnet.com. You can also follow us on social media at Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, and LinkedIn. And you can find all of our video content. Again, this is the 200th episode of AMPM, so you can find all 199 previous episodes on our YouTube channel, as well as other video products we put out. So make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell to see when those videos go live. Don't forget as well our free Twice Daily Market podcast on Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify, and Podbean. From the IARN studios in Des Moines, I'm Riley Smith. On behalf of Mark Magnuson and Dustin Huffman, we thank you for watching. This has been Ag Matters PM.